Hey everyone, it's Colleen, the Preparedness Pro, and I've got quite a show in store for you today. We are here with Chad Midgley, and Chad is a man of many talents, some that you would definitely want to learn. You want to pick his brain, and I want to pick his brain. So that's what I'm doing with Chad here today is we're going to pick his brain. This man is sitting right now in Utah, in West Bountiful, Utah, as a matter of fact. He's sitting in a fig orchard. Yes, a fig orchard. Chad, figs are not known to grow in Utah, are they?
They're not green like this right now. It's freezing outside.
Yep. Chad, you grow this stuff year round, don't you?
We do. Real exciting.
All right, well, let's start from the beginning. I get all excited and I want to fast forward, but let's tell folks a little bit about you. I mean, why am I having you on the show today? What's so special about you?
We're growing citrus here in Utah, 15-foot citrus trees. We don't go underground. We mulch our greenhouses with compost. We build like a hamburger with extra layers of plastic, and it costs us nothing to heat. We're building these greenhouses on a dime. We have lots of models of them we're going to show off in our farm tours. $1,000 greenhouses that are sustaining citrus trees, fig trees, pomegranate trees. I have a pomegranate right next to me, the size of a softball. This stuff that you don't grow in Utah.
And would you say this could be applied anywhere in the US?
The whole idea is we want to do this on a dime so anybody can do it, applied anywhere in the US. And as the compost decomposes, it heats the greenhouse.
That's fascinating. Okay, let's go back because you and I talked a little bit earlier. You conjured this. You started a passion for this as a teenager, correct?
So when I was young, my dad and I, we would hang around Leland, Argyle, and Del Noble, some farmers back in the 80s that were in their 90s and born in the late 1800s. So I got to hang around some of the original pioneer offspring of the people that founded this area in Utah, the best farmers there ever were.
That's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about your passion, how this all developed. I mean, you and your wife obviously had to have a meeting of the minds here.
We were actually, myself and workers, we were bagging up lemon spinach for the farmers markets. And we were talking about greenhouses and how I love citrus trees. I love to go to Disneyland. I love to drive around Anaheim. And I wanted that little bit of Disneyland back home in the middle of winter when it's cold here. So this gentleman said, well, cow milk houses never freeze in the winter. So I thought, why don't we build a cow milk house and a greenhouse together, have it above ground because the best soil is at ground level, not underground where you go into the subsoil. We want the best soil. And then mulch these greenhouses with compost around the sides. The tree roots that you see behind me go outside of the greenhouse and take in this compost that's on the side that's mulching the greenhouses. Tons of red wiggler worms, and the trees just go nuts.
So that was one of my questions is, how do you get these things to grow when they're enclosed? You think of the pollination and everything else like that. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So we'll pollinate it with paintbrushes. A lot of this is self-pollinating, but we'll aid it with paintbrushes. And then we're lucky we own 3 farms and we have 20 of these greenhouses. And so at one of the farms, we're actually right next door to a beekeeper, and her bees will sneak in when we open the windows.
So
Those
tell people what you mean about
greenhouses.
pollinating. Tell people what you mean about pollinating with paintbrushes.
So when the little flowers are out, we'll get a mechanical toothbrush or just a paintbrush, and we'll just go from one little plant to the other and just pretend we're bees and just kind of flick the little blossom. It pollinates it really well. And if you get a
Yeah,
bunch of people in and have a party, it takes no time.
a pollination party. Woo!
Correct.
That sounds fun. So I have watched some of your videos. For those of you who haven't, you've got to watch Chad's videos. It's amazing. You just started these videos, what, about 8 months ago?
Yeah, just 6 to 8 months ago. This is a 10-year project that we've been doing, and I just felt the need inside that people need to learn this. It doesn't do me any good to hide this and take all this special produce to farmers markets. I need to show people how to do this because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and people need to learn how to grow their own food. We need more neighborhood farms, period.
So I'm going to put your Facebook page. I'm going to put it on the screen here because there's an S on Chad. It's a Facebook foul up, but you know that's what happens. So go to Chad's Midgley page and friend him there. Well, they have to follow you now because you already have 5,000 friends, huh?
So we have something really neat that we're going to put out. We have a $100 Hobbit greenhouse I just invented. We have all the videos and the documentation. We're going to put that out in the next few days. It is something that anybody can do anywhere. You can put it in your yard, your farm, your gardens, anywhere. It's small. It's with a wood chip pile, and it's really neat. $100. You can grow citrus anywhere, any place, and that is what we're going to throw out. We have the videos all made, and we're excited to throw that out for everybody to see.
That's going to be amazing. I love gardening. I love growing my own food. So there's just so many questions I have here. So tell people, what types of produce are you growing that's unusual?
We're really well known for peaches. So I have a video that shows the very latest peaches you can possibly produce along the Wasatch Front of Utah.
The,
We just picked them and it's like
yeah,
freezing
the end of
outside.
October.
Well, the earliest farmers at the farmers markets. So I wanted to price year round actual fruit. So strawberries, citrus. We want to try persimmons, figs. So there's always some sort of fruit to pick. We grow strawberries inside of our house. We have an extra house that we grow inside of. Really neat. Tomatoes year round. I'm just a nut. I have to be around this greenery because it's just really cold and dreary outside. This greenery cheers me up, and that's a
Yeah,
lot of the part of it. Not just eating it, but being around it.
there's no food scarcity mentality in your mind, I don't think.
I'm not too worried. I got a plan for everything.
That's great. So peaches, citrus, avocados, I read as well.
So we're doing avocados. We just started the trees. We have grapefruit the size of basketballs. They're called pomelos. We have blood oranges. We have 20 times more fruit on our trees than any other interview or video that I've done right now. We're going to showcase that at our farm tours. We've updated all of our greenhouses, made them really nice to look at. They're all over 10 years old. We've prettied them up, and inside it's beautiful too, as you can see behind me. Outside right now, it's snowing just up on the foothills in Salt Lake City. And you can see behind me, this is a tropical plant behind me, the figs. And I'm sitting in
That's
here. I could barely
amazing.
get in this greenhouse. I haven't been in this greenhouse in like 2 months. I could barely get in it to sit in this chair. The trees are so huge.
You just have such a smile on your face, and I can tell that it's brought about by you living this passion and being able to share your information with other people. Tell people how they can learn more about you. Let's make sure we do this a couple of times. So we're going to have them go to your Facebook page. You're going to put your Hobbit video. Is there anything else that you want people to know?
We're just documenting all of this weekly. Like I'm doing a lot of new experiments. We just planted peas in the fall, and I just looked at them. They've sprouted, and we're going to teach people how to plant in the fall over winter plants, get them to grow in the winter, and then have the earliest harvest. So everybody can have an extra couple weeks on each side of the calendar and just get more food out of their square footage. We're going to document all the citrus, the figs, the pomegranates. We're going to have that on our page. We're going to make a lot more videos. I have a ton of videos made that I'm going to put out real soon that go into all of this. We're going to document the greenhouses. And now that the farmers markets are over, I have a lot of time to put towards this and teach people. We're going to have farm tour classes right here in Utah that we're going to do. We're going to start that up on Saturday.
That's pretty exciting. Is that your first class is on Saturday?
This will be the first ones we've done since spring. The demand's insane. People want to learn this and see it. And a lot of people have had their first frost here in Utah. Their plants have died, and we're going to show them how to still have tomatoes, have bushels of tomatoes still. It's just insane. And the citrus are growing like nuts. It's not me. I don't know how this stuff is just happy where it's at. We're just creating an area that happy for these little trees to blossom and grow. And I just kind of watch over them and help sustain them so they can grow their fullest.
So, what made you want to do this in the first place, Chad?
I don't know. I didn't like it growing up. I thought my dad was crazy, but I tried it as an experiment, just a little garden that was about 20 by 10. And the amount of produce that I got out of it blew my mind. I figured I could sell it off the street This is back in the 90s, and make a little bit of income. And then it just grew from there. I did the farmers markets, downtown farmers market, Salt Lake City. And every year I doubled the amount of money. And I was going to college, and it just got to the point where this was making a really good living. I bought pieces of property along the Wasatch Front when it was still fairly cheap. And so we own actual property. But where I'm sitting at right now is where I started all this at our family farm in West Bountiful. And so I'm sitting right where we've actually trees where I started, which is kind of
Now,
special. My dad and I did it together. He's no longer with us, but he taught me a lot. It's kind of cool to be out here and where he was, where we farmed together.
well, your dad's got to be smiling down on you today, that's for sure.
I
He's got to
hope.
be pleased. He's got to be pleased. So, who else helps you with this? I mean, it's a mountain of food. Who all helps you?
So I do most of it myself. I have some really cool Baptist ladies from the Baptist Church in Layton, Utah, and their congregation kind of helps me, and we get help from the LDS ward members and all that. So a lot of church groups are really into this, and the self-reliance and self-sufficiency is a big thing right now. A lot of people are into this. It's just a lot of church groups. That's your answer.
What do you do with the extra produce? I know you sell a lot of it at the farmers market. I mean, that's your living, correct?
That's the big problem I have right now. I still have nectarines I just picked, and the farmers markets are done. I still have a whole bunch of produce. And while I was driving here, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. So I don't know. I can
Sounds
always
like
do
a
produce
marketplace.
boxes.
Sounds like a marketplace ad to me. You just
Yeah,
place it on marketplace, and other people are missing that fresh produce, even though the farmers markets are done. I'm sure you
right.
could do that. Yeah. So, do you put up? You guys do a lot of canning and freeze drying or dehydrating or anything like that?
So we don't, but my parents did, and they have a lot of that. We need to learn how to do that. So my thing is, I'm really good at growing it, but I can't be good at everything. So I don't know how to can and all that kind of stuff, but I know how to grow it. So that'll be the next episode. I learn how to do
Oh, well,
that.
that's wonderful. Well, if you handle canning with as even an nth of the passion that you do in the growing, the canning is so easy. I can tell you. I learned when I was living in Utah as a new housewife, and I thought, well, I'm in Utah. I'm a housewife now. I need to learn how to can, and I did, and it was the easiest thing, and I just took off. I was crazy about it. I'm not married any longer, but the canning I still get to take with me, and I'm so glad I learned how to do it.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah,
it.
because there's so much that you can do. I'll have to send you a copy of my book, Chad, Neanderthals in the Kitchen,
We
because
love
it
it.
talks about canning and basically setting up your kitchen from a preparedness standpoint. So tell me, would you consider yourself a prepper?
I guess I'm a prepper. I'm a mad scientist farmer. I'm all of it. You bet. I'm totally into food storage. I have a large food storage. I think it's neat that people put food away, but my thing is I want to teach people how to have fresh food that
Yeah,
they can go out in their
absolutely.
gardens. Like we have carrots and beets, and I have a special way on how to dig them through the winter using bags of leaves. So my
Wow.
thing is not only food storage, but fresh food that's always available in your backyard supermarket.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can even teach a thing or two to the apartment dwellers too with their vertical gardens, can't you?
Yes, there's so much you can do with container gardens and little pots on your patio. We know how to do that really well. Tomatoes, and we grow sunchokes. Those are really neat. They're the prepper's dream. There's nothing you can do to kill a sunchoke. They're a root vegetable that looks like popcorn, and we have a video where we dug 40 pounds of sunchokes in 2 square feet.
Yeah, I've seen a video on sunchokes. So share with folks what sunchokes taste like.
So they're Jerusalem artichokes. They're like a sugar-free potato. You can roast them, fry them. You could even eat them raw. The plant grows like a sunflower plant, and it kind of gives you gives you kind of an idea how good your soil is. The taller the sunchoke plant grows, the better your soil is. In September, they produce a beautiful sunflower flower on the plant, and then at that point, the whole plant falls over. The roots start coming out of the ground. The whole plant actually mulches itself, so you can actually dig them through the winter without mulching them. It's really cool. And there's nothing you can do to really goof up. There's the bugs in that don't like them, and it's really weird. It's like the best thing you could possibly do in the apocalypse. There's nothing you can do to kill them.
Well, that sounds like a great plant for me.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you source all the mulch and everything that you need to use? You don't create that on your own.
So our farms or our properties, we have little properties and big properties, are drop-off spots for tree people, grass clippings. I'm a drop-off spot. And these guys want to get rid of this stuff so bad, they'll actually take the mulch and they'll put it around the greenhouses where I direct them to do it. And
That's
so it
funny.
saves on the work for me. So we'll start on the north side of the greenhouses and we'll mulch that north side because that doesn't get any benefit from sunshine or anything. We want to get that totally mulched. And then they'll start doing the east and west side and the south side. And then we'll put water barrels inside of these greenhouses. And we get them inexpensive at the thrift stores like the Deseret Industries. Fill them up with water. The water takes in the heat during the day and gives it off at night. And then the mulch around the greenhouses decomposes. It heats the greenhouses and it holds in the heat.
Yeah, I noticed you saying in one of your videos how cold it was outside, but that it was nice and toasty inside the greenhouse.
Yeah, you can. I accidentally sometimes leave the doors open and it can get down to the 20s and nothing gets harmed.
So I noticed also that you have openings like on the roofs of the greenhouses. Is that to let some of the heat out, or is that to let bees in?
So the biggest problem you have isn't the cold, it's the heat of the summer. And so those windows let all that heat out. At ground level, it's always about the same temperature in summer, even in winter. It's really nice and cool. And so this big tree canopy you see around me will actually do a lot to actually keep it cool during the summer. It shades
Interesting.
it. And so this canopy works as an actual, this canopy of figs actually works like a canopy. It shades it and keeps it cool. And then in the winter, all that we close the windows and all that heat goes to the top and it kind of stays nice and toasty as it's insulated really well. They call it hyper insulation what we're doing.
So you didn't discover this on your own. Who taught you this?
So like I said, this has been a 10-year experiment. We didn't just start doing this. This is 10 years. So I've learned a lot in the 10 years.
You've learned
I
a
didn't
lot
know
along the
anything.
way.
So there's been a lot of things. The biggest thing is you want to protect these things from the wind, and putting the compost around the greenhouses really does a great job when we have these microburst winds here. Another thing is every time we put another layer of plastic over the greenhouses, we'll actually cover over some of that compost. And so it's like a hamburger. We're building over that hamburger, and then that compost will decompose inside the greenhouse now. And then we'll put another layer of compost on the outside. That'll help hold up to the wind and add for the next layer of plastic that is needed down the road. But it's a 10-year
Okay.
experiment. We're into this 10 years. I don't know what year 20 is like, but the trees seem really happy.
Well, that makes Chad pretty happy, it looks like.
Yeah,
So,
Chad's real
okay,
happy.
I've seen pictures and out in the rural area, you can imagine this, but have you ever had neighbors complain about what it looks like or anything like that?
So we've spent all summer and taken anything you've seen on the videos and that we've made it really pretty. Looks like something out of Disneyland. It's just a dreamer's beautiful thing. You always get somebody that complains about something.
Sure.
But where we live
But then
is
you just bring them fresh produce and they stop complaining, right?
there's always complainers. You cannot please everyone, but the masses of people that really like what we're doing and that makes me really happy, and that's what's important. The complainers, if things go to heck, they're going to be the first ones on the doorsteps begging for food. That's my theory.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. How far apart are your farms? Or do you have a plan to continue to take care of them if there was a really bad, like a financial collapse or a society down scenario?
So what's neat is I have these farms so far apart because I can't afford land in West Bountiful or Salt Lake City, but I could afford it in Ogden and Syracuse. So I still lease the West Bountiful land, but I bought the land in Ogden and Syracuse. I found that works really well when we have a hailstorm like we had in Syracuse this past summer. Two hailstorms. There was not a hailstorm in Ogden and not any hail in West Bountiful. So that actually saved the day. If
Mm,
it freezes more. It's colder at one farm, warmer at the other farm. So it actually works in our advantage, even though it costs a little extra to drive to them all.
spreading the risk a little bit, nonetheless.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so have you had a crop that just didn't make it that is your nemesis that you haven't been able to conquer yet?
So on some of the properties, fruit trees don't do well. In Syracuse, we have a real high water table right by the Great Salt Lake. Then other properties, they do really well. So it's more about what properties can grow what than something I haven't been able to figure out how to grow. We want to get all the properties up to the same standard as the very best properties we have.
Well, tell people what you've got growing in your front yard right now.
We have arugula that's about 3 feet tall right now, and that's going to be shown on the farm tours. We've taken out all the grass and we have strawberries, and we still have big strawberries. We figured out a variety of strawberries that grows big in Utah. The Albion and Seascape are phenomenal. So no more lawn. Then we have a fruit orchard in front, and then we have some kale growing. So it's kind of decorative and pretty. And we do have just a little bit of lawn, and it looks pretty cool. It's a food forest, and the backyard is insanely nice, even after the frost. It's just really nice. People will love to see this.
So no lawn mowing for you then, right?
Very limited.
Yeah, you
Everything
have
we
to
do is kind of
harvest
like
instead.
Disneyland. It's just a little bit different, but it's just beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah,
You have
you're
all
gonna
these
have to
different
go
colors of plants.
now.
You have broccoli that's blue, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Describe the broccoli and
So you have blue broccoli, you have green kale, you have the green fig trees, you have the peach trees. Everything's a different color. You have strawberries that are red mixed in. I think strawberries are the best ground cover you could ever have. You don't have to mow them or anything. You can pick strawberries. We have a variety that produces all year. It doesn't stop producing. So that's my idea: is less lawns, more strawberries.
do you want to share with folks the type of strawberry that you grow?
So Albion and Seascape are two awesome varieties. They're day neutral varieties, so they don't know where the sun is in the sky, so they just keep growing and growing. There's the everbearings that kind of stop, but the day neutrals are even better. And they produce big strawberries. And we still have big strawberries, and they're unbelievably sweet. They produce clear up until about the first part of November. And then we have them in our greenhouses so we can keep the harvest going in December. And then we grow them inside this extra house we have. We can have strawberries year round.
Do you call it the strawberry house?
I want to have like the Beatles record, Strawberry Fields Forever, and kind of mount it up.
There you go. There you go. So, what would you say is has been your best crop by far?
The lemon spinach sorrel. It tastes like lemon. You probably never had it before, but it paid for the
I never
farms.
have cooked with it. No, I've
Called
rarely
French
seen it in
sorrel.
recipes.
We
Yeah.
call it lemon spinach at the farmers market. We give people a taste, and everybody that tastes it, their eyes pop in 5 seconds. Your eyes would pop. They would go like this, and then they all say, "Wow, that is so cool!" And kids love it. And so that's another thing is we want to get the kids excited about all of this. So we have a future in food
Yeah.
supply. The kids love the lemon spinach, and a lot of times they'll beg their parents to go back and buy it. It happens all the time. So that actually paid for the farms when we grew a lot of that about 14 years ago.
And the kids actually eating their spinach is a good sign, right?
So the lemon spinach paid the farms off. We don't have any debt either. All the farms we own are paid off.
Wow. See, this is something, folks, that I have tried to say, a long time now is, obviously you can't just stock up on food, right, Chad? You've got to, at some point, you've got to grow your own. And that's why we advise people to have a year's supply so it can get you to the harvest.
Everybody has room for a fruit tree or two. And fruit trees are the easiest thing. Apples are the easiest. Peaches will bear the quickest. Everybody should have a fruit tree. And then under the fruit tree, they should put some plants. And that's where you start.
Yeah, that's definitely a great starting point. And anybody that has a yard growing fruit trees instead of just leaf trees, I mean, that makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. What about what's been your biggest obstacle to overcome in this exploration of yours?
Probably the wind. We get lots of wind out here, and repairing plastic is about the worst thing that you can do. So that's one of the big reasons why I put the compost around the greenhouses. It wasn't to heat it, it was to hold it. So when we get these 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds that come through in storms, and a lot of the people watching are in wind prone areas, that fixed it pretty good. There's nothing more discouraging than ripped greenhouse plastic. because
Oh,
then your
yeah.
little trees are out in the elements and they don't like it.
No.
Ripped
Do you
greenhouse
have
plastic.
do you have a personal favorite crop?
I really like the citrus, the blood oranges. I really like that they stay green all winter long, so I can go in these greenhouses in a blizzard, and I have videos where I'm in a blizzard, and I can go in and it's green and there's fruit hanging. I just love it. And the trees are happy. The trees want me to show them to people and teach people how to do this. The trees are real living beings, and they want this to be shown. They want to be shown that they can grow in Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Ohio, anywhere without heaters, without
Thanks
spending
for the
money.
mention there, Chad. We
Yeah.
appreciate it in Ohio. Okay, so let's talk about a logistic here. How do you handle water collection and storage and the distribution?
So one of our farms is totally off grid. We don't have any services, but a water share. That water share goes between May and October. In October, it's shut off for good. So we just filled up a whole bunch of barrels. We have to go to the neighbors and buy water off of them. So it doesn't sound real, real smart in the money sense, but that's kind of what it takes. The other farms have water, but one of the farms is totally off grid, yet that farm has the biggest of all the citrus trees. And it's not watered at all between October and June, believe it or not.
Wow. So do you use like a drip system? How do you get water to all of these inside plants, for lack of a better word?
So we've tried everything. We've tried drip, and drip totally backfired. It didn't get enough water, and the citrus trees didn't produce. You have one chance to get the citrus trees to produce. And if you're a really good steward that whole year before, those things will produce like crazy. So the year that I used drip, they weren't happy. They didn't produce very well the year after. So we changed it to sprinklers. And that made all the difference. And now I have 20 times more fruit than I had a year ago. So the trees are real happy. They'll give you the fruit based on how happy they are.
Well, it can teach you a little bit of something about relationships too, then I guess, Chad. You must you must know how to make your wife and your family members happy too. If you're learning all this about plants, you've got to figure out it'll apply to people too.
I don't know. They just think I'm a mad scientist. It's a little bit crazy, so I don't know.
Well, it looks like a good kind of crazy to me.
I hope so. The plants like me.
So, is there a particular citrus variety that's proven more successful in your setup?
So it's so weird that in Utah, citrus trees like the native soil in Utah. They
That
really
is
like the
weird.
soil in Ogden, but they are tolerant of the soil in Syracuse, which is right on the bay of the Great Salt Lake. The pomelos, those really big grapefruits you see in my pictures, those yellow grapefruits, they love Utah. I don't know how that is. Navel oranges love Utah. Kumquats, those little baby oranges that you eat the skin. The skin
Hmm.
is sweet and the inside's tart. They love Utah. Other trees are just barely starting to bear after 10 years of being in the ground. The blood oranges have just barely started. The limes have just started. They're not quite as happy. So the more
Hmm.
happy the tree is, the more fruit you get. But oranges, grapefruit, pomelos, they've done really well.
What would you say is your annual yield for peaches compared to traditional outdoor orchards?
So we grow peaches inside and out of the greenhouses. We have a video that documents how many peaches we got out of the greenhouses and how much we made at the farmers market. It was about $3,000 to $4,000 out of just a couple greenhouses. So that would be you get $8 a pound at the farmers market for really, really early peaches. It sounds crazy high expensive, but that's the going rate. And
Wow.
so whatever the math equals, $8 a pound and $3,000. That's what we made on donut peaches. So we do peaches in the greenhouses too, which is really rare. You don't ever see anything like that. We do donut peaches.
How does that compare to outdoor orchards, though? Do you have a larger yield?
Here's the trick for your listeners: is when you put a peach tree inside of a greenhouse, it is a fully producing tree in 2 to 3 years. Outside, it takes 4 to 5 years to get that same tree. And the reason why is you don't have any peach borers or problems that are eating at the trunks and causing problems. One of the greenhouses I built is over top of a peach orchard that was struggling. The deer were eating it. It looked like the trees were going to die. I put the greenhouse on top of these trees, and these trees are insanely healthy now.
Wow, that's wonderful. I had never
Makes
thought
all the
about,
difference.
I hadn't thought about resurrecting, poor areas, but your system is so simple that you can just build up around other trees then, correct?
Correct. And we're just mulching around our greenhouses. When we pull that mulch back, there's zillions of red wiggler worms. People sell red
So
wiggler worms. I
I
didn't
was
even
just
know
going to
this.
say, there's another crop for you.
I didn't even know this. And then people are saying, why don't you plant mushrooms on the mountainsides and all this and that? So I
So why
figured
don't you?
I will. You bet. Pumpkins, mushrooms, cucumbers. People are giving me a lot of ideas I didn't even think about. And the idea of a hobbit come from a real fine lady at one of our farm tours. She's like, these are not just compost heated greenhouses. These are hobbits. And I'm like, that's a great name. That they are hobbits.
That's wonderful. So your greenhouse system, does it perform during power outages?
We don't use any fans, any heaters, anything. It's all off grid. It's all natural. So we
So
don't
it
have any power inside.
so basically it's just a water system that you need to be functional then.
With the citrus in that, we probably don't need anything but some water in the middle of the summer, and that water just comes down a ditch, and we just take it out of the ditch.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Are you concerned about any vulnerabilities in your system?
The only vulnerabilities be people doing things to the greenhouses, but once again, we have farms that are. You asked how many miles apart. Ogden to Syracuse is 25 miles apart, and then Syracuse to West Bountiful is about 22. So we're kind of spread out.
So the minimum maintenance required them to keep the system is relatively small, is what I'm
I haven't
understanding.
been in this greenhouse you're looking at in 2 months. I just turned the water on with a timer, and the trees are as happy as you can be, as you can see. I haven't had time. I'm so busy at the farmers markets. I don't even have time to fuss over this. This is just an experiment.
So you're entering your vacation time of the year. So what do you do during your downtime then when you're not harvesting?
My wife and I are Disneyland fanatics. We love the theme parks. That's where I get my ideas from. On the Disneyland train, there's a little picture and it says Agri Future. And I thought that's so cool in Tomorrowland to think about the future of agriculture and how
Mm-hmm.
they mix their trees and their plants in their rides. I thought we can put that with the ride or with our farms and make our farms like a farming Disneyland.
Oh, that would be cool. So do you guys have set primary ongoing costs then, or is this really self-sustaining?
It's self-sustaining as long as we don't have windstorms that cause damage.
Okay. Okay. So if somebody else, I keep telling people because I've fallen in love with all these different kinds of seeds. I've got an amazing heirloom seed collection. And not just growing regular tomatoes, but those big beautiful striped tomatoes and those purple tomatoes and the purple striped green beans and things of that nature. They just taste divine. I was sharing with people that they can grow things like that and reach top dollar at the farmers market. Tell people a little bit what it's like selling at a farmers market.
It starts slow, but once you've been doing it for 20 or 30 years, people come to you. You don't even hardly have to try anymore. As long as you're not some insane, crazy farmer and you bring really great produce, you're good. The farmers markets are insanely profitable. I tell all the little kids, if you want to be rich, become a farmer because you get the
Oh,
land and everything, and you have developers all up and down that want the land. You get in high demand. What we're doing is agritourism, where people can come out and learn how we do these things. It isn't just a tour of the greenhouses. We still have farms and produce and everything going right now.
wow. Yeah, that's an interesting statement to tell kids if they want to be rich to become a farmer.
It's the
Yeah,
truth. You can't
yeah.
believe that we have 30,000 people that come through the downtown Ogden, Utah farmers market every week. They say it's the biggest farmers market in the state, possibly the Intermountain West. The farmers market it's a mile to walk through the whole farmers market, and it takes
Wow.
an hour to record the whole thing. That's how big it is in Ogden, Utah.
To think I never went up there when I was living there. That's just crazy that I missed that opportunity. What would you say is the biggest mistake that you made that others could learn from?
So what everybody needs to do, there's two mistakes. Number one is plastic touching PVC. There's a chemical reaction that causes the plastic to decompose. So you have to paint the PVC. Number two is when you put all this compost around your greenhouses, you need to have support inside. Our supports are our shelves. We have shelves and pots that we grow the strawberries in. And then that we do use a drip system. We have little drippers that emit to the strawberries. But that helps hold the greenhouse together. A greenhouse is like anything. They're prone to falling apart a lot easier than normal buildings because plastic will whip around in the wind and everything. The system that we have, the plastic doesn't whip around in the wind anymore. All the improvements we've done, nobody's really seen this yet. Every video I have shows the old greenhouses. They're all refurbished, they're all rebuilt. As of right now, they're all beautiful, perfect structures.
Well, coming from someone who's a Disneyland fan, to use words like beautiful and perfect, that must be something to see.
They are. It's beautiful. We're going to put pictures. It's the first farm tour. We're going to throw it up pictures, and we're going to do videos with the people at the farm tours. We're going to let them see the $100 hobbits and see what they think about that.
Well, you should definitely reach out to your local media when you start doing those farm tours. I'm sure that they would be interested in that and help get your word out as to what's available out there, what people can discover for themselves.
It's so neat that it's so dreary and ugly outside here in Utah. Everything's brown now. Yet you can have a little oasis in everybody's backyard and you can be in Disneyland for free. You can play the music they play at the Tiki Room and you can have your own little oasis. You can have a pond and water going. It's just awesome.
So, have there been some unexpected benefits that you discovered?
So there's been a lot of neat opportunities beyond media to teach people this. The neatest thing is at the farmers market, people come up every single week and they say, "We love your videos. Your videos are teaching me so much." That has been the neatest thing. The people that are getting their imaginations going and figuring these things out for themselves to take my ideas and go up another notch and make this really neat.
So, where do you go from here? I mean, you don't strike me as someone who's just willing to just sit on his laurels and let things go. Where are you
Well,
going from here?
we have 6 greenhouses we just finished that we want to show people since last year's farm tours. We refurbished them all. They're beautiful. We want to show this to people.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
then I don't know where we go from there. But this will keep me busy for 6 months. We have 6 new greenhouses.
Wow, 6 months of busy. That can be a little overwhelming, but that's the life of a farmer, right?
It's fun. It keeps me going and invigorated, keeps me healthy. You got to have a challenge every day.
Well, and you're definitely eating quality food as well. You're taking more control over what's going in your food. Is there a particular fruit that you've gotten tired of eating?
That is a good question. I have not gotten tired of eating any. There's some fruits I like better than other fruits. Like I'm not a fan of berries, but I love strawberries and peaches. Never tired of it. The
That's
trees
good.
have a life of their own, and they like to give you the bounty and the fruit, and you just don't get tired of it.
So, here's a question for you. How has this system changed your perspective on food security?
That everybody in their yards, no matter how big their yard is, apartment dwellers, everybody can grow something. Everybody needs to grow something. I walked around the supermarket today and I thought to myself, we're so dependent on something that doesn't really care about us. So you just can't there's no, what's the word? You can't it's just not dependable, the supermarket. You can't
Right.
depend on it.
Yeah, that
Everybody
just
needs
in
to have
time
something in
service.
their backyard growing something, whether it's a fruit tree, some plants underneath it. Everything we do is perennial, comes back every year. So we don't have to save all the seeds and erase the chalkboard every year and start over.
Oh, really?
It's all,
I hadn't
almost
realized
everything is a
that.
perennial. The lemon spinach comes back every year. We figured out how
Really?
to get broccoli through the winter and have broccoli plants come back for a second and third year. The same with kale. So my goal is, instead of having to save seeds, which we can't depend on there always being seeds, we need to have plants that produce for us and come back every year, perennials.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that in terms of a garden. So asking you what kind of seeds you focus on is a moot point then. Okay, that's interesting.
So we want it 75% perennial. We want the farm. We want to set it and forget it. Have these plants come back every year. Have some really good quality wheat cloth in between our rows. And then we start mixing in things like strawberries into everything, which are perennials too. And then 25% of it can be things that we start by seed, like cucumbers, squash, tomatoes. Then we're not always so dependent on those seed sourcing items, and we have crops that keep feeding us every year.
So, is there a secret tip that you could give our listeners today? Something that you could divulge to them to help them be better gardeners?
The best place to get greenhouse plastic is your local nurseries. They take it off their greenhouses every 4 or 5 years. The plastic is still good. It'll last another 4 or 5 years, and you can get this plastic for next to nothing. That's how we've been able to build so many greenhouses. And then we get the kits on eBay or Amazon, these kit greenhouses that have like this little steel greenhouse kits. And then we use 2x4s, which are really inexpensive right now, and we get them up to code for wind and snow. And then we start working on the compost, the water barrels, and we hit the thrift stores, the classified ads. And we find this stuff for next to nothing.
Yeah, I just snagged some 55-gallon barrels for only $10 a piece. I was pretty excited.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah. So, do you feel like you've gotten good ideas from other people that have come to your tours?
Yeah, we all just bounce ideas off of everybody.
That's
It's so you
wonderful.
get all these great thinking minds together, and I learn so much from the people that come. It's
It just
awesome.
goes to prove that you can't be a prepper on your own. It takes a community.
A lot of the good
And
ideas come from kids. It seems like the kids have more of a scientific mind than the
really,
adults do. So I don't really charge kids to come on these things. It's really inexpensive, and it was free for the first couple of years because I want kids to learn this.
oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, in conclusion, is there any message that you wish that you could get in the head of every prepper out there? Um, just what's some wisdom that you wish that every prepper knew?
We need more neighborhood farms and less neighborhood supermarkets. That is everything I'm doing in one sentence.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, let's tell people again how they can find you. I'm gonna put this Chad's Migsley up again. Well, I guess it was up already. There we go. Chad Midgley. Chad Midgley. I keep saying Chad's because of the S.
Let's just call me Chad's Midgley. That's how you find me on Facebook. On YouTube, the Rockstar Farmer, Chad Midgley. And I didn't come up with that name. A lady at the farmer's market who was in charge of the Ogden market called me a Rockstar Farmer. So I thought, well, somebody needs to be a Rockstar Farmer, so why not me?
Might
So
as
the
well be you.
Rockstar Farmer, Chad Midgley on YouTube, and then we're on Instagram. Just type in Chad Midgley, Chad Midgley. It'll teach you guys all how to spell because Midgley is a real hard name. 3 brothers that came on a boat from England. We're all related, and there you go. There's lots of scientists in the Midgley family. You can look up Thomas Midgley. It's crazy
Oh,
stuff.
mad scientist in the Midgley family,
Way
huh?
mad scientist. Thomas Midgley. Google him and read about him.
Well, I can't thank you enough for doing this interview. It's fascinating what you're up against and what you've been able to do with it. And it's your own personal Garden of Eden. And you are definitely tilling the ground. You are definitely taking stewardship over what you've got and the talents that have been given to you. And that's just wonderful. Sounds like a little prayer is in order for what you do next so that you can go bigger and impact more lives. I wish you the best, and I will make sure that I do my best to get people out there in Utah to know about your options. And heck, you go out to Utah specifically to see his farms. I mean, that would be worth the travel just to see what he's able to accomplish. It'll be inspirational. Just his videos alone are very inspirational, folks. So, Chad, thank you so much. Thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, folks, please join us on Preparedness Pro on the page, and also Preparedness Pro, the group, where everyone can initiate their own ideas and their expertise and questions and conversation. We want to be a solid community for everyone who's in the preparedness space, who wants to live a more self-reliant life. Chad, you've definitely contributed to that today, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. A lot of
All
fun.
right. All right. Take care, my friend.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.